1930s, a period of escalating tensions and growing aggression in the world. Germany under Adolf Hitler was flexing its military might, expanding its territory, and threatening the peace of Europe. On the other side of the globe, Japan, emboldened by its rapid industrialization and expansionist ambitions, was carving out its own empire in Asia. As the war raged across the continents, the United States, initially reluctant to enter the conflict, found itself drawn deeper into the maelstrom. After Japan's surprise attack on Pearl Harbor in December 1941, the United States declared war on Japan, marking a turning point in the global conflict. The war raged on, with both sides incurring heavy losses. Japan, facing increasing pressure from the Allied forces, was determined to defend its territory to the last man. But the Allies, fueled by the spirit of victory and the determination to end the war, were developing a weapon that would change the course of history forever: the atomic bomb. The Manhattan Project, a top-secret research initiative led by the United States, was tasked with developing an atomic bomb. Scientists and engineers worked tirelessly, pushing the boundaries of science and technology to create a weapon of unprecedented destructive power. In July 1945, after months of intense research and testing, the Manhattan Project achieved a breakthrough. At the Trinity test site in the New Mexico desert, the first atomic bomb was detonated, unleashing an explosion of unimaginable power. The shockwaves and mushroom cloud were a chilling demonstration of the sheer destructive potential of this new weapon. The success of the Trinity test raised a crucial question: should the atomic bomb be used in combat? The decision rested on the shoulders of Allied leaders who grappled with the moral implications of such a devastating weapon. The stakes were high, and the consequences were potentially catastrophic. As the summer of 1945 drew to a close, the Allied forces were poised to deliver the final blow to Japan's empire. The United States, having successfully tested its atomic weapon, was preparing to deploy it against Japanese targets. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union, bound by a neutrality pact with Japan, was preparing to break that pact and enter the war. On August 6, 1945, the world watched in horror as the first atomic bomb, Little Boy, was dropped on the city of Hiroshima. The explosion, devastating in its scale, instantly killed over 80,000 people and left countless others injured and displaced. The Japanese government, stunned by the sheer power of the bomb, was still reeling from the shock when, just 2 days later, a second atomic bomb, Fat Man, was dropped on the city of Nagasaki. The twin shocks of the atomic bombings sent shockwaves through Japan. The Japanese government, faced with the prospect of further destruction and the potential loss of its entire military, was forced to reconsider its position. However, the hardliners within the Japanese military remained opposed to surrender, believing that Japan could still win the war. In the midst of this turmoil, the Soviet Union, having fulfilled its promise to enter the war, launched a massive invasion of Manchuria, Japan's vast territory in Northeast Asia. The Soviet forces, battle-hardened from fighting the Germans on the Eastern Front, quickly overwhelmed the Japanese defenders. The Soviet invasion of Manchuria had a profound impact on the Japanese government. The realization that Japan was now fighting a two-front war against the most powerful military powers in the world was a devastating blow. The Japanese military, already demoralized by the atomic bombings, was now facing a new threat that threatened to cut off Japan's remaining forces from their homeland. The combination of the atomic bombings and the Soviet invasion created a situation that was too much for the Japanese government to bear. On August 14, 1945, Emperor Hirohito, in a radio address to the nation, announced Japan's surrender. World War II was over. The question of who defeated Japan has been the subject of much debate for decades. Some argue that the atomic bombs were the decisive factor, while others maintain that the Soviet invasion was the key to Japan's surrender. The truth is likely somewhere in between. The atomic bombs undoubtedly had a significant psychological impact on the Japanese government, while the Soviet invasion presented a very real military threat that Japan could not ignore.